81K BTC still, and we've had PPI come out pretty bullish, but the market not really responding at the moment. But are we looking at a potential short-term bottom for BTC? Do we go a little bit higher before they come back and send us straight to hell? So I'm talking about this today, and I'm going to cover all of these altcoin setups that should tie into this possible move on BTC. So we've got so much to talk about here. Let's get right into it. Guys, and remember, as always, hit the like, hit the bell, hit the subscribe, and I've got James in the house here. Also, are you grumpy about the market, or are you happy? How are you feeling?
If I was trading gold, I'd be ecstatic, but crypto sucks.
That gold is ripping at the moment, guys. I do have the gold chart for you guys. We're going to take a look at that one at the moment. I know some of the hackers guys are trading gold and keeping themselves entertained. Look, overall, Banter Bubbles, I think it's being quite polite here. It looks better than what the market has looked like in the last couple of hours. So you can see Peppy top left. We spoke about that yesterday. We had a nice pump out of Peppy. There was lots of bullish news out of that one yesterday, but we caught a short on Peppy this morning in chart hackers. And in fact, Trader Jay also got the scalp short really early during that Asia session. So we're going to look at Peppy and we're going to see, is it time to close these shorts? Are we going to flip long? Then we see Near waking up. That's quite surprising to me. Maker and Celestia, that has also been a short at the moment, but possible entries coming on Celestia. And what is XLM doing here at the bottom? 11% up. That is a surprise for me at the moment. So let's get into a couple of cool things here. Let's talk BTC on the lower time frame, and we're going to look at this PPI situation and try and figure this out, because I'm sure you guys are feeling quite confused. We had a CPI that was pretty bullish yesterday. Market fell over, and I like to say as predicted. And then we've had PPI today, and again, I think people were expecting a bullish PPI, and I think if there was any news to be priced in, it was already priced in, and that is why we started hunting for a couple of shorts there on those setups. So this is what we're looking at now. BTC on the 1 hour. I've broken it down because I'm sure there's a couple of people looking for some kind of reversal. So there's a couple of things we can do here. And I dropped in hackers earlier today. We were saying the 2 hour and the 1 hour were looking bearish. It was looking like they wanted to roll over, but the daily is starting to look very, very interesting for us on BTC at the moment. So are we going to get some kind of miraculous move here out of BTC? So in terms of current areas, you can see we're moving into a zone right now that could potentially give us some kind of reaction. You can see we're looking at this wick fill currently here, and I marked this earlier today. This was my 382 and wick fill region that we were looking at. So first potential stop for us now, 80,500. Next potential stop for us is going to be 79,600 to 79,000. Anywhere in that region could be a bullish area for us. So we want to just see this oscillator start printing that reversal. So ideally what we want to see is some kind of consolidation on one of these areas, and then a reversal print, and then we can go bang and try and send this one up if it's going to go a little bit higher. So those are the levels I'm watching now. I suspect we'll get some kind of reaction there, because you can see our 1 hour is getting pretty oversold now at the moment, and we may get a reversal there. So watching those for now. Then obviously, guys, we can start going down to 51K if we really want to, and we want to highlight all those levels. But in terms of interim moves for the next couple of hours, that's what I'd like to see. Then obviously our lows come into play, 77K. You can see that would make sense as well. If they want to send it lower, the market makers could have some fun there. 77K, 75,600. But why am I interested in, such tight zones to the downside? Well, number one, if we take a look at our liquidation heat map, you can see all the liquidity is actually sitting to the upside at the moment. This is my 1 week liquidation heat map chart. Look at all this liquidity, everything from 84K up to about 87K, 88K. There's tons of liquidity there for the market makers. And the only downside I can see that is major is this 80,000 region. Then a little bit lower, you can see 79.5 has a little bit of action. So that is why I'm super interested in this area as a whole. You know that we've got liquidity in this region, so they could just come and tap this before they bounce us up, and that might tie into quite a few of these alts that we're going to be looking into today. Now, in terms of upside, what can we do short term? Well, we're not going to get much more aggressive than the levels we spoke about yesterday and, during this week. So 84.6, that makes sense to me as an upside zone that we can pay attention to. You can see I've got my 200-day MA coming into play here as well. So that whole region makes sense. And then don't forget, we've got a beautiful CME gap, which at some point we're going to come and fill it. It might not be immediately, but I do suspect if there is going to be upside before they send us back to 70K, well, 86.5, that makes sense to me. And then obviously we can talk higher till we blue in the face, but let's deal with that for now. Okay, if we are pushing on that CME tomorrow, we'll tackle higher levels if we need to. But that is, guys, that is your game plan right now for BTC. That is what you're going to be watching for the next couple of hours. So pay attention to that chart. It is going to guide you. We're going to look at this daily chart now in a couple of minutes as well. Now let's jump through a couple of things. So Fear and Greed 45. This thing keeps climbing. It's like people aren't scared anymore. Remember, they were terrified a couple of days ago, and 45 is moving into neutral territory. So that it might indicate to us that, the buyers or the sellers have had enough. And maybe it is time for these buyers to start stepping in, even if it is a short-term move. So that is interesting. And then there was a couple of fake news things going on today. This was one of them. Okay, Crypto Cowboy showing the DB account, which is quite a credible news account. And they tweeted today, Trump meme coin to have real utility. And then looks like a few minutes later, they said fake news, account was hacked. And this Trump token surged 20% and then nuked, okay? And it's Crypto Cowboy. Now, I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but he says it appears the hacker used 100x leverage long printing a multi-million-dollar P&L, okay? So there you go, a little bit of information there. And hacked. Okay, so DB got hacked there, and let's see what else we got going on here. It's PPI. Now, this was courtesy of the Meme Master. You can follow the Meme Master, Meme Master 08 on X. So he says yesterday it was CPI. Good CPI, we're fucked, sell everything. He was absolutely right. And then PPI, well, you can see bullish PPI came out today, and the market starts falling over. So anyone who wants to track these events and play some of the volatility, you can just get Forex Factory. It's absolutely free, and you can track these things. And leading into these events, you get a nice little countdown as well, so you can really build the tension while you're waiting to get rinsed to the up or the downside. So I like to track Forex Factory, and you can see our PPI came out here. 0%. We beat by 0.3, and the forecast was 0.3 for core PPI month on month, and it actually came out negative. Now, that is obviously pretty interesting what is going on. Here's 𝗂𝗶𝗃 reporting on it, but everything looking bullish. So in normal conditions, i.e. no Trump conditions, we would have expected some kind of mega pump out of the markets. And you would have noticed that if you've been trading long enough, you would know that a bullish CPI tends to really rip the markets. They get excited by these types of things. But here's some bull source for you guys. And even though the markets are falling over at the moment, this was interesting. Crypto Banter dropped this. For 20 years straight, this pattern has played out. Yesterday marked the last day of the year where the S&P showed a negative year-to-date return. Historically, when this happens, markets tend to climb higher. If history repeats, both stocks and crypto could be in for a strong move up from here. Okay, so here's a little chart telling you where you are now. Look, let's test if history repeats. We could be around the corner from a bump to the upside. And we have looked at this before, and there was a couple of signals from that M2 money supply that we did cover last week or earlier this week that told us that around about the 25th of March, somewhere around there, they were expecting some kind of strong move on BTC at least. So let's see if that is now going to play out now. Some more market movers. This could obviously be bullish for us as we get to some kind of deal here between Russia and Ukraine. But Russia delivers main ceasefire demands to the US. And you can see what they are. No NATO peacekeepers, Ukraine denazified, demilitarized, whatever they're saying. The 4 Donbass regions recognized as Russian territories. An exchange, cease of all hostilities, peace and stability for Ukraine. So I think the world would enjoy that. And I think that could obviously deliver some type of pumpage there in the markets. But let's focus on the S&P. This is the S&P on the 5-day that I'm watching at the moment. And we're just tracking some simple things here. We're just looking at a couple of fibs and levels. And in terms of when is Trump done with his move, well, we're getting to the point where we super overextended to the downside. So we're nearly at that point where we need some kind of snapback bounce, which I expect is going to be around the corner. So let's just look at the daily. You can see this daily chart is looking a little bit oversold, like it might want to reverse. Let's just get this thing to load here. Hello. Okay, as and when it decides to arrive, we'll pull it out, but there it is. Okay, so in terms of the S&P, you can see we are pushing some kind of reversal now. So we're moving into a couple of zones of interest on the S&P, and we are looking for some kind of bounce to the upside. Now, if we use previous examples as to when we get these reversals, you can see we do get moves to the upside. Look, that was a negative one. They dumped us first. Then we had a big move to the upside. And then you can see we've just had typical results here where this thing does bounce in these areas. So we are moving into interesting territory. Obviously, the current situation is not normal. Okay, so we're going to talk about wine just now, and you're going to see why it's not normal at the moment. But in terms of S&P, guys, possible bounce here, 5,500. Look for a reversal. Look for a wick fill at 5,400. That is also on the table for me, that 5,400. So we could have something brewing there. I think it's just a matter of time. I think it's around the corner. One little headline is going to pump this S&P, and I'm not expecting much. We can easily just pump it up to that 200-day MA and then get some kind of rejection. So I'm not feeling like turbo bullish on the thing, but I do think it is time for some kind of reversal. Now, here is gold at the moment, and this thing is just grinding higher. Now, our target is 3,276. We'll call it 3,300, and gold just looking incredibly strong at the moment. And you can see it literally doesn't give a fuck at the moment about the oscillators. Look at all that divergence, and the gold bulls are just pushing and pushing and pushing. So gold is looking good, and I know the hackers boys are trading it for our community at the moment, so they're having tons of fun doing that. Remember, you can trade stocks and gold now with me using crypto. All you need to do is get BTCC, okay? And you can trade. This is a micro strategy. I'm looking at the micro strategy chart. You guys know I missed my Tesla entry 2 days ago or yesterday, and we're looking for moves on that. So, and they've also got things like gold as well on BTCC. So come and join me on BTCC. There is a link in the description if you want to do these fun things with us and get involved. Okay, let's go. A couple of other things. Now, this is obviously notable for us. Argentinian authorities are going after the Hayden Davis guy, the guy behind the Libra pump and dump, the coin that wrecked crypto. Well, if the Trump crypto token wasn't enough to cause problems, that Libra token, for those of you that don't remember, Argentinian president basically promoted a meme coin called Libra. That thing was absolutely rugged. It absolutely screwed everyone. And the guy behind it, they found him, and now they're looking to arrest this guy. Okay, so there he is, and he's in big shit. Okay, so stuff is going down there at the moment, and hopefully some kind of recourse there for that kind of savagery behavior. And then today, I tweeted this. Follow me on Twitter at the Lord of Entry. Trump warns that if the EU's 50% whiskey tariff isn't removed, the US is going to hit back with a 200% tariff on French wine, champagne, and other EU alcohol. Now, isn't that bullish for my country? I mean, we got quality wines here and things like that. So that's obviously going to be a nice little advantage for everybody here where I am at the moment. But the guy is really getting into a little bit of fisticuffs all over the world, and that is obviously causing a lot of tension everywhere for everybody. And now ARK just bought $83 million in Bitcoin. And the first question I asked the research guys today was, isn't she notorious for buying the top of everything? And I mean, she did get a little bit of unfair abuse a couple of years ago for buying the top and selling the bottom on a couple of tech stocks and things like that. I don't know, James, do you remember? There were a couple of things that
I
she
seem
sold.
to remember
the
people were ragging on her last run. Yeah, once you brought that up, going, yeah, I kind of remember that, but I haven't heard that much about her recently.
Yeah, so look, she did go a little bit quiet, okay? And again, she's obviously very smart about what she does, but she did sell a couple of things a little bit lower than maybe she could have. But look, they've just bought 83. They've obviously got their researchers and their people that believe that this is probably a good area to buy. And maybe they watch the show. Maybe they are looking for this daily reversal that we're looking at now. Maybe she's a short-term trader, James.
You never know. Hey, you know what? We've got breaking news at the moment. I got
What's
pinged
happening?
1,000 times because today there's a delegation in Russia from the U.S. talking peace talks, and apparently Putin has just accepted a temporary ceasefire. Screaming all over Twitter, every account. I sent one to 𝗘𝗁𝗂𝗍𝗂 letter one to you, to the research group there.
Okay, well, there you go, guys. A little bit of war news. I see it hasn't affected BTC just yet. Okay, so let's talk BTC. Now, I did drop today on the tile that there's a bullish signal Okay, so let's not wear blinkers here. Let's understand that even if the thing is looking bearish and the market is falling over at the moment, we can get short-term bounces and things like that. Now we know the information presented to us or in front of us at the moment is the S&P is around the corner from a bounce. We can see that. It's a matter of days, or I mean, it could even happen this afternoon. Okay, it's close to some kind of reversal. With that, I believe Bitcoin is going to bounce with that as well. And again, doesn't turn me into a Bitcoin bull. It just turns me into somebody who wants to ride a trade to the upside. So we're obviously being super cautious with how we're trading things. I'm not aping fucking everything long here at the moment. You're going to see what we're involved in. We got a lot of shorts going. We got some longs going just in case. Some of the things are choppy at the moment, but I am, based on the information that I'm seeing, and I said to you guys this week, I am still looking for 86, maybe even higher. But looking at the Bitcoin daily chart and my oscillators that I love to use, you can see we've printed bullish divergence here. We've printed our blue dot magical reversal print. So there's a lot of signs here in the market that we may be getting close to a reversal. And you tie that into the S&P, you tie that into the NASDAQ as well, and all these other types of things. And we are getting close to some kind of bounce here in the market. Now, obviously for me, when I see these types of prints, that tells me there's a good chance that we're going to hold the lows. Okay, so, I mean, we can start selling off again, but we want to hold the 76K lows. I'd like to see those lows hold, then get some kind of pump before they come and send us back to zero. Okay, so I am, I still believe we coming down to the 70 zone, 73 to 69 makes sense for me. We can obviously go much lower once we hit those levels. Don't forget, 51 is a regular macro 618 pool. We can get there at some point. But what I'd love to see happening based on the information is somewhere down here. We get a pump up, and even if it's 89, 90K, it's still on the table for me, still nice and bearish, and we can send us back down to those types of levels. So short term, ideally leaning towards some kind of bounce here in the market. I would like to see that obviously play out for us. Okay, so what does Samson United says? Retest the weekly 50 EMA would be golden, and Yammer Justin or Jammer Justin, and I don't if he's South African, it's Yammer Justin. If he's not South African, it's Jammer Justin. He says Popcat short. Okay, we'll take a look. We might have time to do a Popcat short for you today. Okay, so guys, you know what to watch here. BTC, you've got your levels, you've got your liquidation heat maps. You know that. Let's focus on one thing related to the altcoins at the moment, and this is going to be dominance. Now, we do like to watch USDT dominance tied in with Bitcoin dominance and the alts, but for the sake of this example, there's a couple of regions where these alts potentially get a little bit more wrecked. So right now, you can see these alts they're not getting absolutely abused, and this is because dominance is rolling over. Dominance is falling over at the moment, and these alts are actually doing okay. So these are the typical areas where you want to be careful with alts. 61.6, you can see we are on the support here. We could bounce right here. That could be a danger zone for these altcoins where Bitcoin is going to get favored, and then a little bit lower down, 61%. That is going to be your next danger zone for altcoins. So this is really what you want to be watching. If you do get that push down, that might indicate that you get a harder move down on some of these altcoins. But ultimately, look, leaning towards BTC pushing higher on the daily. We know on the lower time frames, we are trying to reverse to the downside at the moment. Let's see if they're going to give us what we want. Now, let's focus on altcoins today. And I'm trying something new today. Now, we're going to see how fast we can get through the show. I've got 4 or 5 altcoin setups, and we're going to just bang you with setups. We're going to go sharp and short and sweet. And we're going to hit you with those setups. And obviously, all those charts are going to be sitting in Chart Hackers as well directly after the show that you guys can play around with. And we're going to see if we can cut the show nice and short today. And if you'd like that and we keep doing it, you must let me know. And if this makes sense to you, we can keep them sharper and shorter. Because I do know you guys, some of you love watching me talk shit all day, but sometimes you don't want to watch me talk shit for an hour. Maybe you want to see, 30 minutes. So maybe I can help you along that way. Okay, so let's go. Solana, FTX, Alameda, unstaked and distributed 22 million again, and that was earlier today, and this is their monthly SOL unloading. So yes, bearish price action on SOL at the moment. We understand that it's obviously not the number one play at the moment. So SOL is looking, you can see, sitting on our big levels. Anyone trading big levels on SOL, 110 is your main support that you're going to be watching, and then you've got lower levels at this 86 level down to 79 also makes sense to me. And Luigi says he wants 10-hour shows. My God. Okay. And PMG George, I've got a fart coin for you, sir. It is coming in hot. So let's dial into SOL and let's just understand lower time frame what we're looking at here. Again, it's a tricky one because you can see the market is super choppy at the moment. The market is just waiting in desperation for either a dump or either a pump. You can see we are like just in the zone now. We're chopping around. Obviously frustrating for anybody who's sitting in these things wondering what is going to be happening. So what we can do is just be reactive to these types of things. So Mia, this is just an idea. Okay, let's see. I mean, I talk so much shit normally that this thing might still drag on for 40 minutes. So let's see if this is actually gonna work out today. That'll be hilarious if it doesn't. Okay, so SOL. Guys, lots of chop. Only select tokens are moving at the moment. And what we can do is be reactive to these things. Like Pepe was a short this morning in chart hackers. We gave that. We had a pump. Celestia, also a possible short because we had a pump. And you want to get these big moves to the upside and big moves to the downside. And then you want to react. In these types of areas, it gets tricky. Okay. If you start trying to trade these things and using these levels, because what happens is they come and flush you out, maybe pump you up and then wreck you back down again. So it gets a little bit messy. So in terms of short-term levels for SOL, fresh longs, okay, 119. Let's see if you get a dip here. 119 for SOL. That's a degen long zone. Alternatively, it's 112 to 109. Okay, so that's your long zone. And then in terms of shorts or potential short areas, you basically want to see what we saw with Pepe and a couple of other tokens. You want a hard pump into a zone, and that will give you the opportunity to short it. So short zone 136 to 140 and 148 to 150. Now these are tried and tested short zones. Okay, we've done them multiple times before, and I expect that we will get similar results there. Okay, so keep it super simple there, and make money, travel, enjoy says there are 10-hour shows inside Hackers. It's non-stop. Guys, if you love trading, like they obsessed in there. Okay, so just come and hang out in Hackers. The guys are obsessed. Look, yeah, she's changed her sleeping time to match Trader J inside Hackers. You see, they're obsessed. Okay, now we had some fake news today. Let's talk about fake news. So let's report on it. Watch a Guru drops. President Trump's family is in talks to acquire a stake in Binance US. WSJ, World Series Journal reports. Okay, absolute bullshit. Okay, so we saw BNB pump, and then it reversed, and you can see 𝗍𝗍 has come out and says this is wrong. This is all absolute shit. He says more than 20 people have told me they were asked by the WSJ, can you confirm that 𝗍𝗍 made a deal for a pardon? So he's basically said no deal getting discussed with Binance and no pardon is coming. So a little bit of fake news, and you know, anybody who saw what happened there, isn't this amazing? You get a fake news pump. What does it reject on? 200-day MA, 50-day MA, bang. Okay, little rejection there. So again, what we've noticed in these type of market conditions is if you get some news on a token and it rips and the rest of the market is chopping and causing you problems and frustrating you, and you see something that rips 10 or 20%, fuck me, guys, look for a short. Okay, it doesn't mean everything's miraculously going to change and that thing's going to get super bullish. So in terms of BNB, let's see. Now, BNB will move up organically with the market if Bitcoin pushes up. That is fact. Okay, we know that it will. So in terms of that, you can see the 12-hour is looking bullish. That is looking aggressive, like it wants to push to the upside. Bullish divergence in play, reversal prints. That ties into the S&P. That ties into the Nasdaq. That ties into Bitcoin. That ties into a story that they're telling us that there may be some kind of bullish push coming. So in terms of BNB, because we're talking about it now, let's look at this thing and let's try and identify what we can use here with BNB. So here's a little bit of a degen setup for you. And this obviously made the most sense, you know, on this news being true, because what you want to see is the rejection, and then you can step in. And I said, yeah, the bulls need to step in this region. And so far, they're actually holding it up, which is interesting to me. And you can see the bulls are sitting here at 570. So if you like BNB, there might be a secondary push to clean out this wick even is on the table here for us. But in terms of the news, that news is cancelled. Okay, so this is now, it's only going to move organically with the market. So if the market falls over, it probably falls over with it as well. Okay, so that's what you need to pay attention to in terms of levels. 570 down to 560, that could play out for you. So just watch this region as a whole. 570 to 560, could get some kind of bounce. But, you know, BNB is not normally a pumper, so I wouldn't get overly excited by this thing. You know, you're looking at an 8% to massive resistance to the upside at 620. We know that's a huge area for us. So how do you deal with that? Well, when you break above that type of region, there is another trade later on. So if this does get aggressive, we'll have loads of time here to try and figure something out on BNB if we want to. Okay, by then we'll probably be trading Floki and other meme coins and all these things if the market turns super bullish. But in terms of BNB, you know, there's a little game plan there for you guys if you are interested in this thing. And then just a little note here, our 2-hour oscillator is pretty overcooked at the moment. Okay, so just a little highlight there. Just be careful with that guy. And James says, smash the likes. Guys, if you're enjoying the content, hit the like, hit the bell, hit the subscribe. You can do this.
Treat the like button like Michael Jackson. Just beat it.
You know what to do. Okay, so let's go. What's happening in hackers today? So tons going out here. Here's the, we posted this this 𝗵𝗆 short here. Now Jay caught the 𝗵𝗆 scalp this morning. Okay, absolute savage. And then we caught the biggest swing trade later on in the day. Okay, so there it is. And reporting to you guys here, they're giving my levels, all these types of things. DJ and Dave's in the house. See, there's alpha here for everybody. So if you're following hackers, there's alpha for you. Okay, it's not just a fun account where we post P&Ls and we post jokes. We're actually posting alpha here for you guys. So follow us at the Chart Hackers and keep track of that. You can see today, here's the 𝗵𝗆 trade that we dropped in there. And that was 10 o'clock this morning for me. So that was what, 8 hours ago. We dropped the short. You can see bearish reversal, order blocks, quantum reactor. What else do we have? 0.5. We had lots of reasons why 𝗵𝗆 was looking bearish in that zone. And a nice little short in play for us here. And it looks like it's going to maybe potentially bounce here, but let's take a look at what is going on. So here's some of my 𝗙𝗆𝗱𝗃 situation. Fartcoin, that was a short also this morning from, I did drop that chart in hackers this morning and looking to close this one pretty soon. I think we're going to get a reversal. I'm using the hot zone indicator for Fartcoin at the moment. So I'm going to show you guys that now. Then we've got the 𝗵𝗆 short. You can see that's $23,000 short at the moment. Some potentially lower downside targets. We've got Celestia short. We've got a Brett long, not doing much. We've got 𝗬𝗆 short from yesterday. I did try a 𝗬𝗆 long earlier today. I had to take the L on that one. It reversed. Ondo short from yesterday. Sol short from yesterday. Link long from yesterday. Still sitting in this thing. And then Bonk and Ondo. So not much to report. The stuff is it's pretty choppy at the moment. So again, I'm kind of waiting for some kind of bullish sign from Bitcoin to just trigger a nice move. And then these longs that we already have open, I'm going to ape hard onto these longs. Okay, and the shorts, the head shorts are obviously just for cover. Okay, so I am leaning bullish on the daily at the moment, but the head shorts are for cover. In case I'm wrong, then I've got a little bit of short protection. Yes, sir.
Don't forget the blood moon is today. Maybe those shorts you should make sure and leave open.
Blood moon. Okay,
yeah,
sounds
an eclipse,
amazing.
Blood moon, all that good stuff. So yeah.
Okay, guys, bearish blood moon. Okay, the chart says, okay, we're going to hold the lows. If not, well, then my thesis is wrong for this week, and we're going to have to reassess.
I think we have a bull moon, though. It's technically a bull moon. We just happen to have this blood eclipse deal going on. I'm not much into the moon stuff, but everybody's talking about it.
Okay. Well, they must give us a bull moon. Okay, guys, are you ready? Are you ready for? Fuck, we're gonna nail these. We're gonna nail these setups here for you. Tell me if you guys like this. Okay, tell me if you like this. Okay, let's go, 𝗵𝗆. Step number one. Okay, here's Jason says bloody hell. Okay, so 𝗵𝗆, you know the drill. You know why we were looking for a short earlier today. This thing is printing down. Okay, so no short now. You're too late. But you can see the signs were there earlier today. We had a reversal, etc., etc. If this thing is going to stay bullish, what you're looking for on 𝗵𝗆 in terms of a bounce zone is 658. Look out at this region. This makes sense to me as your first temporary bounce zone. Okay, so again, this doesn't need to be the low that sends you to the moon. This could be your short-term area that you look for a reaction on 𝗵𝗆. It might just be a lower high before they send it even lower. You could see something like that play out for 𝗵𝗆. Okay, so in terms of potential bull zones, 658, and then I'm going to give you another one, 607. These are your potential reaction bull zones. Remember, these things work best, these reaction zones, when you're tying in reversals on our oscillator. Okay, so make sure you are using the oscillator. Where do you get the oscillator? Well, do the accelerator course. You'll learn all about my TA, the hot zones, a full explanation. You'll also get the hot zone indicator that I've now built for you. It basically shortcuts all the stuff I do. It's quite irritating actually, because I spent years trying to do all this shit, and now we got an indicator that you just put out and it does it all. Okay, so you'll get that. Just sign up for the accelerator course. It will cover you and it will explain the oscillator as well for you guys and all those types of things. Okay, so 𝗵𝗵𝗀𝗡 and 607. If there's going to be a long, it's most likely on those regions. Ideally, what you want to see is the oscillator reversal. And what you can do for smaller time frame bounces, as long as you're moving into a hot zone, is look on a 1 hour, look on a 30 minutes, those types of things. And these can give you these reversal prints, because ultimately you just want to see that type of thing tying into a hot zone or a reaction zone, and that starts saying balance of probabilities that maybe it's time to get long or take on some risk. So you don't do anything before that. You wait till the stuff goes into your zone. When it's in your zone, then you make rational decisions based on the information you have. If you are trading these things anywhere in between these zones, you're actually wasting money. Okay, don't waste money in between these zones. Wait for the hot zones. Okay, that's where you get your better risk reward, and things start working in your favor. Okay, so obviously these things don't work every single time, because this is trading. Okay, and things happen in trading. But in terms of being smart about where you play things, you play hot zones to the upside, bang. You play hot zones to the downside, bang. And everything else in between is noise. Okay, and that's the way I look at things. Okay, so Peppy is done. Let's talk Fartcoin, and I'm using just the hot zone indicator here for Fartcoin at the moment, and you can see it's looking nice. So we've got 2 hot zones at the moment that it has given me, and we caught the short earlier today. Look at that. There we go. We had the bearish move into a 618. It was printing bearish reversals for us on the 1 hour. Look at that. The signs were all there that this thing was going to fall over. What did we do? We pumped into a big zone and then we fell over. Okay, so the same story, balance of probabilities, pushing into a hot zone, oscillator looking like it's going to reverse. Maybe it's time to take on a bit of risk. Okay, and this thing is now falling over. So if you want to look for a potential bounce play on Fartcoin, we're moving into the zone, but it depends how degen you want to be, because you can see this 1 hour is not ready yet. What you want to see is these reversal prints. Okay, that's the type of stuff you want to see. Remember, these things can give you little moves as well. Okay, so you might not get massive moves out of these things, but you want to see that because you want to lower your risk as much as possible. So in terms of areas for Fartcoin, 26 to 25 is looking like a region of interest here where we should get a reversal. And what you can do is go into lower time frames, for example, 40 minutes. What does Michael say? Can't we even pump on bullish news like peace in the Ukraine if the world peace isn't even pumping our bags? Bro, it's true. It's fucking true. Like, what's pumping our bags now? It's quite annoying. Okay, so here's Fartcoin moving into a reversal zone, 45 minutes getting closer. So it depends again how degen you guys are. Remember, the 4 hour, 8 hour, they give you the bigger moves, the swing moves. The 30 minutes, the 1 hour, they give you the smaller moves on these things. Okay, so hot zone tells us 26 to 25 is a region of interest. Tie in your reversal on the oscillator and you should be okay. Don't you love this volume profile as well? Look at that. We've got our point of control here automatically just dropping it on here for us. So looking pretty good there in terms of that. Okay, so 26 to 25, guys. I wouldn't stick around past 25. If this thing closes under 25, it's pretty bearish for me, okay? And you start going 23, you start going 20, it starts getting ugly. Okay, so just be careful there. When you lose that rising trend and you lose the VWAPs and things like that, yeah, just be careful, okay? You don't really want to be sitting in that. Okay, next one is Ondo. Now, Ondo looking bearish at the moment, but if it's going to reverse, for me, it's got to reverse around 79 down to 77. Okay, so again, waiting patiently. Ondo on the 2 hour, you can see waiting for this oscillator to reset. What we want to see is these types of reversal prints on the oscillator. So let it just drop lower, bang, bang, and then get some kind of reversal. If that happens at 79 to 77, that makes sense to me. Okay, that makes sense as a bull zone there out of interest. So look out for that. That could be a nice area. And then obviously the wick low, you don't want to go there because that's a revisit to the lows, but it is possible. Okay, so bull zone 79 to 77. less bullish, but you'll get a bounce. We should get a bounce. 73. Okay, watch that one. And 𝗀𝗔𝗋𝗋𝗀 says TP for his bunhole. Always take profit on your bunhole, bro. Always TP on your bumhole. Okay. 𝗬𝗰. Okay, so 𝗬𝗰 took the L earlier today. So we were looking at this. We were looking at this chart earlier. I was looking at this chart in Hackers earlier, and we said the hot zone was okay. I didn't like the oscillators. They were showing confusion at the time, and subsequently we've now printed bearish divergence on the oscillator. Okay, before that it was just squiggling around. It wasn't looking convincing. So what we had was the hot zone was holding, but the oscillators weren't right. So what do we get? We got a little fake out to the upside into that region, and then they sent it all the way back down. Okay, so in terms of 𝗬𝗰, if you want to play this thing, okay, it's bounce now or cut it off. Okay, you can see this is the level of interest, 218. Watch the 218. But in terms of higher confluent zones, you can see, let this bearish divergence play out. Let it come to you. There's no rush here. And wait for it to drop. So let that reversal come. I would expect that reversal between 2.12 and 2.07. That makes sense to me for if the bulls are going to come in and save the day now, and you're going to get an oscillator reversal. That's pretty much where you're going to look for that bounce play. Remember, guys, what we want to see is obviously if I'm live and there's action happening and we can catch a breakout or we catch a dump into a good area, I'm going to give it to you. But sometimes we actually have to look at these charts and say, wow, we actually need a pump or we need a dump before we can make a call or a decision. Okay, so sometimes it's a waiting game, and you can see some of these trades in Hackers, we wait like 6 hours, 8 hours before these things actually start playing out for you. So just have a bit of patience, let it play out. Remember, it's a 24-hour market. It never goes away. There's always going to be a new opportunity for you guys. Now, here's another one I want to talk about today. This is OM, and $719 million getting unlocked in 6 months. And $1.6 billion getting unlocked in a year from now. Now, what do we know about this OM? It looks like it's one of these, maybe it's manipulated, who fucking knows? But this thing pumps when the market is bearish. This thing absolutely rips. It holds levels where the market is falling over. This thing holds levels, all these things. It's got weird behavior. And looking at this with an unlock coming in 6 months, maybe it's got some fundamentals to it first. Okay, so it might just keep running. So in terms of the chart, I've broken this down into a couple of areas for you guys. Now, we know this is an outperformer relative to the market. Look how this thing has behaved lately. If you compare this to a couple of other charts, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But in terms of high time frame levels for OM, okay, 6-0, that is level number one. 6-0, you can see this thing makes sense on the 3-day. Then another big bounce zone, 535, makes sense to me. 535, look at that, a beautiful wick-fill and 618. Now, we know this thing loves a bit of structure. It loves a bit of fibs and things like that. So you can see it's reacting on the 50-day. It's reacting on the 0.5. There's something going on here. So 6 is the level that you want to pay attention to, and 5.35 makes sense as your next drop down zone. Now, both of these should give you some kind of activity. So if you drop into that zone, you could get some kind of bounce. This could be a 20% bounce. Okay, so you kind of want to play this thing on these levels and take action every time it hits one of these zones, because one of these areas is going to be one of these that basically sends this thing, okay, to Valhalla. That's 189% that they gave us previously. So if you get that pump there, there's a 15%. If you catch the next pump, on the next dump, it's a 20%. And if you catch the dump from the lows, you're probably going to get a 40% out of this thing. And remember, you can still be super bearish on a token on higher time frame charts, but all it's doing is just going in its downtrend, and its natural progression is for it to bounce along the way. So you could play those moves out of those regions. So in terms of OM, potential degen play, this is for absolute degens only. Okay, possible degen move coming for you guys in a couple of minutes, I would say. We're dropping into the zone, and 6.34 makes sense to me as a potential area where you might want to have a look. Look at this 50-day moving average. I've got my VWAP from the lows. I've got my 382 as well. And by the time it gets there, I'd like to see a reversal on this oscillator. So we are getting close to a potential trade here on OM. So let it come to you. Let's see what happens at 634 down to 630. Watch that area. That could make sense to me. At some point as a degen, you need to know where you want to cut. And at some point, if the trade is going against you, you got to say, okay, enough's enough, and I'm prepared to cut. Now, obviously, there's tons of levels based on this consolidation on this thing. There's tons of levels here that you could argue are zones where it could bounce. So what I want to suggest on something like this is just rather build a very small position in these zones. Test this area, 634 to 630. If you close under there, it's probably going to just start a journey lower, okay? And you probably just get that, until it goes to that 618. You'll have to see how that plays out. But look, don't stick around too much if you start closing under there, unless you're an absolute savage and you like pain. Okay, so 634 to 630, possible bounce zone coming there for you. Just make sure you're tracking your oscillator on the downside, and you could probably try a regular RSI as well. It's obviously not as helpful. Okay, not as helpful. And Jammer Justin got to short PopCat, and we've missed the opportunity. Okay, next setup for you guys. This is Cass again, one of those that we missed the actual trade earlier today, and my message to the hackers was, let this thing come to you. Don't try and force anything. So Cass short zone sitting at 76, anywhere in that region. So 74 to 76 is the short zone for Cass. The potential bounce zone for Cass for longs, high conviction 63, very medium conviction or low conviction 68 to 66, 68 to 66. Not great conviction. Okay, look at that. 2 hour really wants to drift lower. Okay, so big divergence now for Cass. And if we're going to get along, I quite like the 0.063 zone. So just be patient. If you see the market falling over, well, then be glad that you made the right choice and waited. Okay, so remember, we want longs off a dump. We want shorts off a pump. Sort of in between, we start playing the breakouts, and we start taking on a little bit of extra risk. So just be careful there with that one. Then AVAX. Took the L on AVAX earlier today. We were looking for a potential breakout trade at the resistance band. So we were saying possible trade coming on the retest here at 19. This obviously didn't materialize, but your next option was, if this thing stays bullish, you're either looking for some kind of flag and then some kind of bounce, normally off a 382 and VWAP. That tends to give you some kind of move. So AVAX, potential long, 17.7. Watch that area. Tie it in with this oscillator. Where's our next zone? Okay, your next reasonable zone is most likely that guy. Okay, that's going to be your hacker zone. So 17.78, and then you're looking at 16.8 down to about 16.5 as your backup bull zone there on AVAX. Now remember, this stuff needs to hold the lows. Bitcoin needs to hold the lows. Okay, so it's very important that Bitcoin plays ball and the S&P bounces and these things over the next 24, 48 hours. That is really what we want to see. So if the bulls are going to step in, the zones I'm giving you on these tokens, these are typically the bullish zones that you want to look at. But what you want to do is obviously tie in as much confluence as possible on these areas. And what I love to do, and you can see how this just works so beautifully, is use these oscillators to your advantage. Okay, really, guys. And like, if you don't believe it, go and learn about it. You will understand, okay? Or hang out in Hackers. You can see the stuff works all the time, okay? All the time, the stuff is going down. Okay, so there's Cass doing that. There's AVAX doing that. You've got your levels. And then in terms of Celestia, what's next? So waiting for a reset on Celestia. I dropped these zones also on Hackers earlier today. Most likely, Celestia does a retest of 3.35. That makes sense to me. Or alternatively, 3.07 is the next zone of interest. You can see the 1 hour is starting to get slightly exhausted here. So there may be around 2 coming for Celestia. So watch that. If you do get the long, your target is going to be, you're going to target the highest 3.77, and then you're going to target 3.88. You're not going to get greedy. You don't need to go, much more than that if it is going to bounce. So just look for those areas. And remember, guys, the short setups you're going to get when the market is bullish, we give you the shorts. Okay, when the market's bearish and falling over, we're going to look for those longs that we can catch possible bounces at. So that is the strategy. Tan says no bulls left; they all got slaughtered. So guys, remember, the next pump out of the market, we're going to get our shorts again. Okay, so like we did with Sol, we need a pump to get a short. Okay, you need these moves. We saw it with Pepe. You need a pump to get a short. Okay, so don't try and short on support while it's falling over. Let's try and play a bounce long. Then with the green, then let's look for some kind of short, okay? And our PMG was shorting this lie token. And didn't that thing pump like 100% or something along those lines? Okay, so there you go, guys. Celestia is done. Remember, everything I talk about on the show is sitting here under the show description. Bang, just go under there. LBank and WeX are there for you guys. If you want to trade no KYC and get free money from them, well, just sign up there. Okay, they're literally giving you massive sign-up bonuses. BTC.D for trading stocks, that's there. The accelerator course is there. Everything is here. Sitting and waiting for you guys. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to drop all this stuff in Chart Hackers. Guys, I hope you like the slightly shortened version. We still did 45 minutes of talking shit. Okay, so if you like the 45-minute version, we keep it going. If you want it shorter, let me know in the comments after the show so I can read them and take your opinion and see if I can make it nice for you guys. Okay, catch you later.